been very difficult for everyone, really. And I want to say that one of the few bright spots that I've been seeing during this month is the way that some farms, especially farms that are working with direct sales and that are plugged into their local communities, have been pivoting and responding. And I've seen just so much creativity and community support, farms reaching out to other farms and reaching out to customers, and such the kind of support that made me want to say, even though people are dealing with a lot and a lot of people don't love Zoom and are tired of being online, it felt like now was the time to bring people together and share some of the amazing work that creative farms are doing. So my name is Alissa Chase. I'm with University of Vermont Extension and the Vermont Tourism Research Center. And I'm pleased to have Shannon Varley from Strafford Village Farm here with us today, along with Alissa Matthews from the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Sarah De Filippi from Vermont Department of Tourism and Marketing, which is part of ACCD, and Hans Estrin from UVM Extension. We're all here to lead a conversation about what different farms are doing and how they're adapting with respect to direct sales, e-commerce, and agritourism. A lot of these farms are used to having visitors on their farm, interactions, overnight stays, CSAs, farmers markets, farm stands, and they're having to make dramatic changes. Before we hear from our speakers, I just wanted to throw up a poll. And let's see, I'm learning as I go with Zoom. So let's see what happens here. Do you see a poll on your screen, Shannon? No? Oh, okay. All right. This may not work right now. Let's see. Do you see anything?
Yeah.
All right. If you're calling in, no problem, and no need to answer, don't worry about it. Basically, what's showing up on the screen is a question that says, describe yourself, check all that apply. And listed, there's farmer, there's a ag service provider, nonprofit, government agency, educator, or other. I'm putting it up here just because even though you pre-registered, we're curious to see who has joined with us today and who's on the line right now. We'll give folks another moment and then we'll end the polling and share what we've seen. And oh, I should say, for those of you who are typing in the other, feel free to go into the chat box and let us know what that other is. And feel free at any point to put questions and comments in the chat box. I am attempting to share results. Is it working? Can you see the results where we've got about 30% are farmers, another 30% are ag service providers, nonprofit 40%. We've got some government agencies, some educators, and some others. All right. I think I have now stopped sharing the results. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning as I go, so okay, thank you. Shannon, I'm looking at you nodding your head. Thanks for letting us know who you are. And now what I want to do is, let's see, turn it over to Shannon Varley from Strafford Village Farm, who has, really been an inspiration from what I've seen in terms of getting a lot thrown at her and a lot of different changes coming her way. And just, she says it looks a little messier on the inside, and we'll learn more about that today. But boy, from the outside, they've been doing a really amazing job pivoting and connecting with community members and other farmers and serving customers. So Shannon, I'll turn it over to you now.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks everybody for being here and all the good work that's happening. on the back end of things. My name's Shannon Varley. We have a small diversified farm in Strafford, which for those of you who don't know is a tiny town in the Upper Valley, kind of sandwiched between Tunbridge and Norwich. We have a tiny CSA and a tiny little farm stand, and it's pretty insular. We mostly serve the Strafford community directly. Most of our sales are through our CSA and our Saturday-only farm stand, which is a tiny structure. It's actually the old milk house off the side of our dairy barn. And so I would imagine compared to some of you, we're fairly small potatoes, but what's happened overnight, which a lot of you are probably also experiencing, is that we went from small potatoes to, large potatoes. And we're just trying really hard to keep up with the demand and the volume of food that people are needing right now. And so what March looked like for us, so normally our CSA doesn't get started until June. We have a Saturday morning farm stand. People come and have a cup of coffee. One of the main cornerstones of our farm business is really just our relationship with the community. And so it's kind of a little gathering, if you will, on Saturday mornings, and we do decent business, and that's it. And so when COVID started rearing its head at the beginning of the month, we thought we were before we all had the information we have now, we thought, well, we'll just limit the farm stand. This was the first Saturday in March, just one family at a time. And what ended up happening is because we had two servers in the farm stand, we adjusted and said, okay, 2 families. By the next Saturday, which I think was the 14th of March, we said 1 family only, queue up outside of the farm stand, and 1 family in, and when 1 family leaves, next family comes in. And by the 3rd weekend in March, before we got to the 3rd weekend in March, it was pretty clear to us that we just had to shut the farm stand model down altogether, because we just couldn't risk people touching each other or being in close proximity with one another. So I threw together a Google form and I sent it out to our customer base, and I was shocked that first week how many people filled out an order form. And so I sent the Google form out on Tuesday. I asked for it to be returned by Thursday. I had to cut it off, I think Tuesday, because we just couldn't handle how many forms had come back in. So that's when I started to realize how much the demand was increasing. And then I started reaching out to other local farms. So Amy and Earl, Strafford Organic Creameries here in Strafford too. Also, we have other farm and local products friends who own those businesses whose restaurant accounts had closed, or other outlets had closed. So then I started reaching out to them to see if they wanted to use the Google form as an outlet for their products. And that was an overwhelming yes. And so what's happened in the last couple of weeks is I feel like we're less of a farm stand now, and we're operating more as a food hub, which is fine. It's just that we're just constantly on our feet trying to figure out how to both be fair, accommodating, and meet customer needs without going totally bananas during a time of the year that we're going bananas anyhow. So we have, I can't remember how many local producers are now included in our distribution. I think there's probably 10 total, and that includes maple syrup, coffee, flowers, meat that we don't raise or needed to supplement with, microgreens this week. I will say that I think the veg and berry listserv has been really helpful in terms of knowing who has extra product to move or who's looking for an outlet to move product. We've used that as a resource. I think the other thing that's been helpful is that if you're set up to be a farm stand anyhow, you have a lot of these pieces in place, at least connections and relationships. And so we've just really fallen back on those. And it has been a lot more legwork on the back end. I've spent a lot of time looking into some more kind of formalized online platforms that isn't this Google form situation that we're in right now. The Google form is simple and it's not asking a lot of our customers, which I think is important because I want to be as least confusing as possible. People have a lot coming at them right now, and I don't want their food procurement to be confusing either. So we're trying to keep things as simple as possible. The drawbacks to using this Google form is that it doesn't track inventory. And so what ends up happening is I have to monitor the form really closely to make sure that we're not running out of product. So that is definitely a drawback. So I started exploring these other platforms that lots of folks have mentioned, Local Line, Barn to Door. And the jury's still out if we're going to switch over to one of those because we're a little down the road in the season, and anyhow, the logistics of doing that is a little complicated for us at this point. But so yeah, I send the Google form out, people turn the Google form back in. I call in my orders to everybody, usually Wednesday or Thursday. We either have stuff dropped off or I meet and pick up stuff on Friday, and on Saturday morning, my husband and I wake up pretty early and set up. This is a very simple model. We just set up a bunch of tables and alphabetically line up all of the bags that have come in or that we need to distribute. Takes us at least a couple of hours to do that. It's definitely, I think we're as efficient as we can be, but we have the number of orders is pretty incredible. So that takes us a while. And then we've already sent out instructions to everyone that's ordered Saturday, and we've given them the protocol for what's supposed to happen. They pull in a certain way, they put their back passenger side window down, we load them in, no one gets out of their car, we're masked, we're gloved, everyth's bagged with masks and gloves. We ask that no one gets out of their cars. Did I say that already? All payments happen online, or we have a third person collecting checks and cash that go into a cash box, and we say hello and people leave. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. It kind of stinks because I'm an extrovert and I really thrive on my friendships and relationships with the people that we serve. And so that part really stinks, but whatever, people are getting what they need and we're able to move a lot of people through. So it's been a system that's working okay. It's working okay. And we're making tweaks every week and trying to make it a little bit better. We do have a lot of older folks here, so the computer thing is a little tricky for some of our folks. And so I'll take orders over the phone and those get queued into the distribution also. Anyhow, yeah, it's working okay. I'm trying to think if I've left anything out that would be helpful information. We're flying blind and doing the best we can along with the rest of you. So I'm sure there are a million things in hindsight I should probably be doing better, but we're just trying to keep up. We're just trying to keep up with volume and make sure that this is another thing that's important to say, is that we started adding limits to certain products because we noticed a tendency to want to take much more. The psychology of human, behavior has been fascinating. So we did start putting limits on everything so that we could provide for everyone, or as many people as possible. So, eggs we keep to 1 dozen. Some of any greens we have, we limit, just so that we're spreading it out a little bit. And the other thing I wanted to let everyone know, and some of you may have your own systems for doing this, but it became clear we had a lot of people in town who lost their jobs. And so we started a fund, a family farm fund, to be able to provide financial assistance to folks who were finding themselves in need at a time when no one expected it. And we've had quite a few people utilize that fund, and we've done some more fundraising around that. So we offer that when people check how they want to pay. It's farm credit, it's check, it's cash, it's credit card, or you can check this box for financial assistance, and it's completely confidential, and the only person that sees that is me, and we make that happen. So I know that's been a need, probably not just in our community, but in a lot of other places as well. So anyhow, that's the gist of how we've been trying to accommodate.
Thanks, Shannon. There's a bunch of questions have come in through the chat, and to make sure we have time for all the different speakers, I'm just going to give you one question, and then, we can, if there are questions that come in through the chat that we don't have a chance to answer, today during this conversation, we'll make sure we get those answers out and, discussed at some point through email or somehow. But one of the quick questions is, how many orders are you filling each week?
About 100.
And have you seen that change over the past few weeks?
Yes. Yep. We've been steadily increasing each week. I think the first week we had 50, and we've gone up 10 or 15 each week for the last 4 weeks.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that and for everything that you're doing within your community.
Thanks.
We'll, as we get to the end, if we still have time for Q&A, we'll send some more questions your way. But right now I wanted to hand it off to Alissa Matthews, who is with the Vermont Agency of Ag. And when I invited her to be a part of this, she was very clear in saying, we're still, the Agency of Ag, as I'm sure all of you know, is still working through a lot of the changes and figuring things out. So our goal today is not to put Alissa on the spot and demand answers, and she is here to share as much as she can, and mostly also hear your concerns as questions as well. So at any point, feel free to type questions into the chat, and when we have a chance to unmute, those of you on the phone can do *6 and unmute. I'll hand it over to you now, Alissa.
Thanks, Lisa. So as Lisa just said, I joined the call really to learn about what others are doing and what ideas are out there and what clarification and support is needed as things just continue to evolve so quickly from week to week. We're partnering really closely with a lot of our UVM Extension and NOFA and Farm to Plate partners and other service providers kind of at that upper level to figure out how to best direct all of our attention and capacity. And I'm really proud of all of our partners for doing a great job mobilizing capacity and expertise to do research and develop resources for our ag producers. So we're trying to keep up with it, but I also just wanted to recognize, as Shannon was sharing, our producers, our markets are pivoting even faster. Often that's, the businesses, for-profit businesses sometimes can adjust more quickly. And that's a lot of pressure. And I just want to make sure everybody knows, like, we all recognize and are aware, like, how much pressure that is and how much uncertainty there still is. And especially in these direct market channels, a lot of what people are pivoting to are more of a CSA or collective marketing collaboration between farms model that can take years to get right. And farms are doing it in weeks to just try and make sure our local food supply stays strong and people are fed. And so just managing supply and demand very quickly and adjusting. So I just want to also kind of start off just saying how much I appreciate being a part of and trying to support such a great community that we have here in Vermont. So a few of the things I was going to touch on was related to, farmers markets at the moment are not included under the list of essential businesses. And so that has caused some of these quick changes that have needed to happen at the business level. But I continue to work really closely with our partners at NOFA and our farmers market boards and managers and producers are continuing to plan modifications that take into consideration like current CDC and health department guidance. Many of them are preparing and we're trying to share them as they're being created, but kind of just minimal changes, kind of a middle level that like feels safe to everyone, but also addresses like some of the other possible concerns that are out there. And then some of the, like in this instance right now where at least for farmers markets, there's no person-to-person contact allowed. So they're kind of doing these planning for plans of something in the future for what we might be able to get to and are hoping to get to. So that's kind of where farmers markets are right now. It's still kind of up in the air, but while we continue kind of to work towards those next steps, the message has been farmers can and should and have been continuing to sell food. So similar to what Shannon was saying, all working together, figuring out where the demand is, how they can work together to use the market channels that are still possible and have been deemed most safe during this public health crisis. So that's kind of more on the direct market side. And then Cheryl, can you put up the Dig In website? I just wanted to talk about some of the examples kind of we're seeing. So they kind of include everything from quickly shifting to online and phone ordering for pickup and delivery to, as we were mentioning, joining forces with other producers to cooperatively get out food and products to more people while still maintaining limited in-person contact. And they go all the way to businesses that are fully embracing online marketing and hosting virtual cooking demos, and especially food and beverage tastings. So Dig In Vermont is a place that we've been having the producer associations that are partners on Dig In Vermont have just had a call recently, and we've been sharing some ideas and what the membership associations are doing. And we're trying to really push that as a place that people can go to find where there are local farm stands, CSAs, local food options, where they can go to shop online, and where they can actually get back to some of the experiencing Vermont agriculture, even if it's virtually. So trying to push people towards kind of one resource to keep things coordinated and push capacity towards Vermont Fresh Network and Dig in Vermont as a place that all of those, that information and updates can be hosted. So that's, you know, this is all ongoing and ever evolving day to day, but.
Thanks, Alissa. There is a question that came in for the chat for you, which is there any sense of when farmers markets with person-to-person contact will be allowed once social/physical distancing is lifted?
At this time, there is not. So we are kind of still following the executive order from the governor. And so what I really in conversations have been trying to, over the past few weeks, like stress is really focusing on the strengths of our local food system and supporting producers and getting food out through the channels that are safe right now and that we know are safe. Because no, that's not a decision that our team at the agency can make in terms of, you know, those are decisions that are being made at a much higher level. And to be frank, it's a public health crisis. It's not even like a decision being made by our own government or legislature in terms of like where this is going. So I think we just all need to continue working together and listening to one another and providing the support we can to keep moving through it.
Thanks, Alissa. And I'm going to mention that for those of you who can see the chat, Tara from Vermont Fresh Network mentioned that that screen that Alissa showed of Dig in Vermont, they're looking for more virtual and online events. So if you have any to share, send an email to diginvt, DIGINVT @vermontfresh.net. And we'll, as follow-up after this, we'll send an email out to everyone who registered, and we'll include these links and pieces of follow-up in that email. So you don't have to write it down, and if you're on the phone, we'll make sure you get the information. I'm now gonna turn it over to Sarah DeFilippi from the Vermont Department of Tourism and Marketing, which is a part of ACCD, the Agency for Commerce and Community Development.
Thank you, Lisa. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to say again what Alissa had said. You know, we don't have all the answers. We are trying to learn as we go as well. And so if there are any questions that I can't answer, I will certainly do my best to try and find the answer for you and get back to you later. So just wanted to start with that. So I am going to try and share my screen because there are a couple of links that I wanted to make sure you had, and these will also be posted afterwards, right, Lisa, to that website that you mentioned at the beginning.
Yes.
So if you can't write them down or whatever it is, they will be posted after. And this is also my first time doing this on Zoom, so please, if it doesn't work, but it will work. I am confident that it will work. Okay. Okay, so you should be seeing the link to our Agency of Commerce and Community Development COVID-19 Recovery Resource Center. That is really the main government site that is going to have all the information that you could possibly want to know about resources. for individuals and for businesses alike. So I would really highly recommend that you go to that website and make sure that you are reviewing all of the information on there. We are a really, really small agency, so we don't have a ton of capacity to be emailing individually with every single business that emails in. So before you email, I would really recommend looking at that page and making sure, trying to find whatever you're looking for on that page first. And then obviously if you can't find it, or there's a specific instance, the piece of information that you need that is just not touched on that page, then, feel free, and I'll put my email address on here too. Send me an email, and if I can't answer it, I can forward it on to whoever might be able to answer, and we'll try to help you out in any way that we can. The other way to get information, from us is to sign up for our daily newsletter. We are really trying to send the newsletter out at least Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're really hoping to go to every day. And that will have timely updates about anything. We try to update the website at the same time, but the newsletter is just kind of nice summary of every new thing that's been put on the website. So I recommend that you sign up for that. We also have Twitter and Facebook. So if that's easier for you, the handles are Vermont Economic Development. Those are getting updates as they come in as well. So again, just recommend following us in as many places as you can to make sure you're getting all the information that you could possibly want about resources for your business. And then my normal job is tourism, which, as you can imagine, is not happening right now. So we did update vermontvacation.com. We created a page called Virtual Vermont. And I know that Tara is, Tara at Dig In is focusing on virtual farm events, which is great. I think someone had put in the chat box a question about live stream. We would love to have that information because it's not an actual event, and we are putting all of those types of links on that vermontvacation.com/virtual Vermont page. So if you have a live stream to your farm, I think Shelburne Farms had a lamb cam or something like that they were doing. We would love to know about all of that. So if you have that kind of tour of your property that you're doing, or anything else like that are static and not specific timed events, we would love to have that information, so that way we can add that to our website as well, which we'll be sharing out on social. And I have also been communicating with some journalists as well to try and encourage people to continue to remember that Vermont is here, we're not going anywhere, and we're ready to welcome people back when we can after all of this is over. So that's my very quick spiel, but the main point is go to that website.
Thanks, Sarah. That was very helpful. And one piece that there's been some confusion on, or at least I've been confused on, is ACCD has a form and the Agency of Ag has a form. I think there's two separate forms that are pretty similar, asking about the impacts of COVID-19 on your farm or business. And my understanding is farms should make sure they fill out both forms. They need to do the one for ACCD for sure to be counted in the full total, but just because they did that one doesn't mean they can stop there. They need to go onto the Agency of Ag page and also fill out the form to be counted in the farm total. Does that sound right, Sarah and Alissa?
Yeah, and I think what's happened, I think what is happening is that ACCD is has the main responsibility for the COVID-19 response and recovery, and we are taking information from Ag and sharing that out as well, but I don't think it's going the other way. So Ag is sharing stuff with us. I'm not sure that it's going down, since we are like the main hub for the response. So definitely, I think doing it both, just have all your bases covered.
And a question that came in recently is farms are seeing more and more impacts. You know, they may have filled it out a week ago or even 2 weeks ago. Well, things have changed. Things have gotten even worse. Is there a way to update the form? Should they go in and do it again? Or if they've already done it once, you know, how do you handle that?
I'm not sure. I would say to just fill it out again. You know, they can sort by business name. So if they see two listings, that they can take the newest one. But
the other thing I have heard from some of our federal partners is the reminder, you know, I think putting your information in there at first is good. And then a lot of our farms are already doing this, but just remembering to continue keeping really good records of what is happening, what changes you're making, what expenses you're incurring, just so you at least have that information for when we get to a point where we either need updated impacts and or have resources available that we can provide related to support. So I don't think you need to be updating that every week because things are still changing every week. I think make sure you kind of put in there where you're at and then keep track of things so that we might kind of do a call out to circle back. But I believe there's some people kind of working on how to best keep that updated without people going in and filling that out over and over and over.
Thanks, Alissa. That's very helpful. And thank you, Sarah. We'll, you know, as Sarah mentioned, we'll send an email afterwards that will include a link to Sarah's slides and the various links that have been mentioned, including, we'll also include there some information that Rose Wilson shared in the chat box, which is about getting retail application licenses if you're selling meat or milk from other farms. And those are not expensive, and you can get them from the Vermont Agency of Ag. So just one more thing to do to add to your list, but hopefully it won't take too long. And let's see, we have Elizabeth D mentioning that www.branchfood.com is another place to go for resources and information about New England. And now I'm going to hand it over to our final speaker here, Hans Estrin, who is a produce safety specialist with UVM Extension, and he also has a whole lot of experience working with direct markets and e-commerce and alternative options. So we've invited Hans to share a little bit about what he's hearing from working with growers and some of his experience in the past dealing with direct farmers and different types of retail outlets.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Sounds good.
Great. Thanks, Lisa, and thanks for pulling this all together. And so we had, just to get a sense of who's out there, it looks like a bunch of service providers, and maybe, Lisa, you could, but we also have growers as well represented, right? It's a mix. Is that who's on the call?
Yep, we did a quick poll at the beginning.
Right.
About 30% farmers, 30% service providers, 40% nonprofit. Oh, you could check all that apply. So, yeah. You know,
great.
Some double counting there, and yeah.
Great. So, and I do see on the call many of the folks that I was going to point to. Zachary Smith, for example, from Farm Viability. I see you there. Who, you know, I'll just, and Andy Chamberlain as well, University of Vermont Extension. I have. Will share just you know, a recent podcast that they did. This is on online markets, and really Zach's an expert and has done a lot of work with this stuff. And Andy Chamberlain had put together a bunch of a podcast with Zach that's very informative. So we'll touch on some of that stuff, and certainly questions would be great to have them come out right now, because we got a lot of really good expertise on this phone call, on this meeting webinar right now. So, you know, I will say, so I guess I'm talking somewhat about local markets and shifting, pivoting what I'm hearing from growers, and other folks are hearing from growers about how they're able to pivot their markets to meet customers' needs. One thing that is resounding is that this is right, it's a crisis. Everything has changed. There's a ton of momentum and interest from consumers to buy in different ways, and we obviously want to capture that. And the issue, I think, is that it's easy to get tunnel vision if you're a grower and try to very quickly change your whole market or do something fairly drastic without thinking through the longer term impacts of what you're doing. And I think that's where I would like to start, both for the service providers and for growers on the call, yes, this is a moment to seize the opportunity to change markets, and especially if your business is needing it, or you've lost market share, or maybe you see an opportunity. Now is the time to act, obviously. And I think it really is important to not jump to the tools or things that you're going to do, but actually think about your business plan over the long term. And, you know, working with Farm Viability or someone like Rose Wilson, who may be on this call too, to think through pivoting your business in a way that is going to be viable and increase your profitability, or sort of your trajectory of what you want to do over time once things kind of return more to normal. That said, we've got to deal with what we have. So growers, what I have heard from growers who are selling to, you know, higher end restaurants, for example, you know, maybe 60% of their sales are small wholesale to restaurants. You know, they're in a situation where something's got to change, and many of them already have diversified markets. And I'm definitely hearing a lot of the CSAs are trying to either combine or build their markets, figure out how to deliver or change their whole setup to make pickup work in a way where they can achieve the social distancing needs and make that situation work. There's a lot of concern about risk management. So many questions that sort of come back to how can we do this, and the food safety concerns, and then watching if they have employees watching those. So a lot of stuff in the air, a big learning curve. And I obviously am not going to cover it all, but I would like to point you to a few resources. First, you know, Farm Viability. I think we got that. The Farm Viability has a blog. I think I would really check out some of that material. And I am going to, should I share my screen? Is that possible? I have a few things I could show.
Yeah, I'm going to make you a co-host.
Okay, and I'll share screen, correct?
Yep, now you should be able to.
Okay, good. So this is, you know, in terms of some basic just resources, being able to, we're the veg and berry growers team for produce growers and diversified produce growers. We've come together a fair bit and put our heads together and are pointing to some important resources that you can see up on the screen right now. This is changing. We're just sort of putting this stuff all in one place, and you'll see some things there that are probably, you know, would be of something you're interested in. Definitely tag this site and go here and check out what is available. And I am getting to the chat so that I can actually paste it in there. Hold on, here we go. Oop. Bear with me. There we go. That works. Okay, so just entering that. Oh, Becky Bartlett, I see, beat me to it. Excellent. Okay, so first thing, really encourage growers to work together to solve problems and find win-wins that will meet not only short-term needs but also support longer-term trajectories. So, for example, if you are selling at a farmer's market and the farmer's market has closed, there might be other growers at the farmer's market who have online sales and you don't. So it might make sense to figure out, again, that as Shannon has done, maybe that there's one lead grower who can act somewhat as a food hub and actually put together some online sales that would work for the group that comes to the farmer's market. Maybe there's access to a mailing list, and then you need access to a space where these you can pack from a few different places, to do the aggregation and packing, probably using a kind of container that is at least for now, is something that might be a new wax box or something like that. And putting your heads together and how to do that in a good way that makes sense. Only when you're done making that plan, I would, start simple, have 2 or 3 growers, 3 or 4, maybe from a farmer's market, can come together and using, at that point, once you sort of figure out what makes sense, how you can do this in a way that maintains safety, then looking at ordering platforms potentially. And yes, Google Forms can work, but you might see on the screen, there are plenty of them out there. And I'm not going to I have had experience with several of these. Harvey, I've had experience with. I have had experience with Farmigo as well. But there's plenty of new ones and that are coming out. So I think it depends on what you're interested in. And I definitely would contact or reach out to Zach Smith or other folks who've had more experience in this as well, and feel free, anyone, to jump on. So once you have a setup and you think you can do something, how are you going to do it safely? That's another really important point. And of course, following regulations and the governor's orders at this point, and that's been gone over. I want to hit a couple of key things. We've recently looked at North Carolina State University did a real good webinar the other day, and we know about this virus, but it's interesting to know that really food and food contact surfaces, this virus does not primarily spread through food or food contact surfaces necessarily. However, because it is an airborne thing, when it's sneezed and it colonizes an upper nasal passageway, usually it moves down into your lungs. If it gets into your stomach, the virus usually will be deactivated. However, it's a very long-lived virus. It can easily survive on surfaces, and therefore it's very prudent to take some pretty good actions to up your game for cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting. So that's a standard thing. I won't go into a lot of this, but I just want to make sure that when you're thinking through, you want to think through all of your surfaces really that you're going to be working with, and think about how they're going to be cleaned. They should be cleaned daily or after every use, and it's probably a good idea now to sanitize as well, or potentially disinfect. So what's the difference between sanitizing and disinfecting? There's a real good, we've had some real good resources, and I know Chris is on this call right now, I believe, Chris Callahan, the ag engineer, but pointing to the blog, ag engineering blog, and some of the recent work. Chris put together a really good guide to cleaning, sanitizing, disinfecting on Produce Farm, which goes over a lot of this stuff And the basic idea is that, you know, sanitizing is something that we often and many farms do on food contact surfaces, and it's a very as a regular thing can really knock down risk. Disinfecting is using higher levels of sanitizer to generally it's on non-food contact surfaces or high touch surfaces, so doorknobs and stuff like that, or if there's a probable cause of infection of someone was sick and at a place, and you have an idea that there's something, you know, there's contamination there, and that really should be done at this point when there's any probable cause or probable source of infection for surfaces that can be disinfected. I'm not going to go into the disinfectants now, except that, you know, something like bleach can be a sanitizer and a disinfectant, depending on the concentration. And it's really important to read the label. That's our primary thing, that you're using a product that is right for its intended use, and you're following the label. And so like bleach, for example, in a bottle, you would use something on the order of a couple teaspoons per gallon for sanitizing a surface that is already clean. But for disinfecting, it might be 5 tablespoons, so a much higher dose. And you would read that on the label. Okay. Just basic cleaning, we got to get into that. 4 steps, not only rinsing, scrubbing with detergent, rinsing it off, and sanitizing. A lot of people think, oh, I just can dump bleach on something. No, we really want to go through this step of proper cleaning, and of course, detergent actually can totally deactivate this virus. So cleaning with detergent is probably one of the more important things that we can do and do regularly. And drying would be important as well.
Hans,
so
we got about 2 minutes for you to
Yep.
wrap up, okay?
I will wrap up. So again, cleaning and contact surfaces is one thing, but really this is about managing people. This whole pandemic is thinking about consumers, thinking about your employees, watching them closely, and making sure there's hand washing facilities available. And again, of course, the social distancing and following governor's orders to limit this. So really, it's thinking case by case about how to do this in the right way, finding the right resources, finding the right cleaners, tools, et cetera, and reaching out to the right people. And I think we do have the opportunity to really take advantage of the strength of our small, diversified food system by working together and with our customers that are interested in building that interest dramatically, and figuring out how to kind of pivot businesses, work together to meet needs in a safe way, that when this pandemic crests and then is, I wouldn't say over, but the world is going to change, and we want to be able to take some of this stuff forward and not have to throw it out. And I think we can definitely do that. So I'll get off now. There's a lot I couldn't cover anything deeply, and of course there are a lot of experts on this call who can answer many of these questions. So thank you. Stop share.
Thanks, Hans. That was very helpful, and you did a good job setting us up for what I want to mention now, which is, as you saw, there was a lot of great information that was put into the chat, and for those of you who can't see the chat, we will make sure that we capture that. Can you see a slide on my screen now that talks about what's coming up next? Screen share working? Okay, thank you. Just want to let you know that Zach Smith, who Hans mentioned, is actually planning to join us next week at the same time. Today was a little bit of a sampler. We had 4 people on, and we're able to hear a little bit from all of them and answer a few questions here and there. And we'll make sure we touch on the rest of the questions, you know, through email or other ways of connecting in person between now and then. But next week, we're planning to have Zach Smith talk about setting up an online farm store. And he, as Hans mentioned, he recently did a podcast, so you can find some information already. But we thought it would be worthwhile to invite him on here for Q&A and to be able to really go into some of the big questions in more detail. Zach, if you're with us, do you want to spend a moment just talking a little bit about what you want to mention next week?
Yeah. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, so next week what we'll do is just, it's meant to get a good understanding of everything that's involved with getting a store online and actually, making sure that this is a profitable decision for our farmers, because as we all know, everybody is very limited on time and resources. So I want to make, and everybody is really considering making this decision to, what can you do to go online, and how can they increase sales by an online presence. So what I want to do is explain a little bit of what I like to call the online ecosystem of everything that, everything that's in play, that comes into play. And, it'll be a little bit based on the topics that we spoke about in the podcast, but also just, really meant to be just informative to get an understanding of what it takes to be successful online. And then, we'll have a little bit of a Q&A, and hopefully this will get into a way that we can be more responsive to what's going on with all the farmers right now in Vermont that are looking to get online.
Thanks, Zach. And thank you for joining us next week. So that's on next Wednesday. And then the following Tuesday, planning ahead a few weeks, on April 21st at 2 p.m., Jenny Porter from the Direct Farmers Market from NOFA Vermont is going to be talking about Direct Farmers Market accepting SNAP and EBT. Alissa, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just, in relation to that, she'll go into great detail, but I sent some resources that we're sharing out in partnership with NOFA for farmers to sign up in order to individually accept SNAP. So there is, you might want to, all I'm saying is you might want to, if you're a farmer or producer and you're interested in being a part of that, you might want to start the process now, because it can take up to 45 days, and then hopefully tune into Jenny's talk to see if there's any other further guidance or tips that she can share.
Thanks, Alissa. All right, so those are the two that we have planned for now. Where, this is an experiment. We know everybody's spending way too much time on your computers and not enough time out in the field. So we're really just kind of testing things to, see if there's interest in this, and see if we should continue to do this going forward. So I'm going to close with, a poll. Do you see a poll on your screen for those of you who are on the computers? Okay, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to fill this out. Basically, it asks, how do you want to get information about farming markets and distributing food during this COVID pandemic? Feel free to type in everything. It's multiple choice, so select all that you want. And also feel free to type into the chat if there are topics you would like covered, other ways, personal phone calls. We're pretty limited on farm visits right now. Those are only in exceptional cases, but phone calls or, other ways of one-on-one type interactions, we're open to that. So feel free to type into the chat any questions, concerns, and ideas you have for moving forward. And for those of you who are on the phone and can't see the chat and can't see the computer, I want to let you know that my email address is Lisa, Lisa.chase, C-H-A-S-E, @uvm.edu. You'll get an email from me in a little bit with all of this information. Go ahead and reach out at any time, and I'll include a phone number in there as well if you prefer to actually talk to a person every now and then and not just be typing back and forth. And with that, I want to thank all of you for joining us here today. Hope to see you again next week. And in the meantime, please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Alissa, did you want to add one more piece? Oh, okay. Saw your hand was up. So I'll close by saying thank you all so much, and stay healthy, and let's stay in touch, whether it's through this method or some other way. Take care.